Jennifer Gledhill and her husband Matthew Johnson lived what appeared to be a perfect life in Cottonwood Heights, Utah. Matthew, a member of the Utah National Guard, was the loving, hardworking husband, while Jennifer seemed to be the devoted wife and mother of two. But beneath the surface, cracks were starting to form in their relationship. The couple, once deeply in love, had begun to experience the strains of everyday life. Jennifer had a secret that would change the course of her life and her family's forever. She had been involved in an extramarital affair. It had started as a harmless friendship, but soon it turned into something more. Jennifer found herself captivated by the attention she was receiving, the excitement and validation that had been missing from her marriage. She began to withdraw from Matthew, emotionally distant and secretive. Matthew had no idea about the affair at first, but as time went on, he began noticing signs of Jennifer's emotional detachment. There were strange phone calls, unexplained absences, and a shift in Jennifer's demeanor that didn't go unnoticed. Though he suspected something was wrong, Matthew couldn't put his finger on it. The tension between them grew. What once was a loving partnership now felt like a cage for Jennifer. Her guilt over the affair weighed heavily on her, and the emotional disconnect from Matthew pushed her into a dark place. The more she distanced herself from Matthew, the more trapped she felt. Yet, she couldn't bring herself to confront him about the affair. It was too painful, and the consequences seemed unimaginable. Then came the confrontation. It wasn't dramatic or violent at first. One evening, Matthew confronted Jennifer about her emotional distance. In that moment, Jennifer's secret was revealed. The affair was out in the open, and their marriage would never be the same. Matthew was devastated, heartbroken by the betrayal. He wanted to fix things, to work through the pain, but Jennifer was already too far gone. She had checked out emotionally, and no amount of therapy or reconciliation could fix what had been broken. Jennifer found herself stuck, torn between guilt and a deep desire to escape her suffocating reality. By September 2024, Jennifer's emotional state had reached its breaking point. The constant tension, the guilt, and the frustration had taken their toll on her. Jennifer had come to a dark conclusion, one that would change everything. She felt trapped, unable to see a way out of the marriage. She didn't want to live in a loveless marriage anymore, but she couldn't bear the thought of going through a messy divorce either. In her mind, there was only one solution, ending it once and for all permanently. She started to entertain thoughts of taking extreme action. The emotional burden had become too much to bear. On the night of September 21st, 2024, Jennifer made the fateful decision that would alter the course of her life. As Matthew slept peacefully beside her, she took a gun and shot him in his sleep. The act was cold, calculated, and without remorse. Jennifer had planned the murder, but it wasn't impulsive. In the weeks leading up to it, she had become convinced that this was the only way out. After shooting Matthew, Jennifer took several steps to cover up her crime. She cleaned up the blood, disposed of any forensic evidence, and wiped Matthew's phone clean. But her actions weren't flawless. In her haste and panic, she made crucial mistakes. Despite her best efforts, the evidence would eventually point to her. Jennifer then took Matthew's body, loaded it into her van, and drove to a secluded spot. There, she buried him, trying to erase all evidence of his existence. But the truth couldn't be buried so easily. Despite Jennifer's attempt to cover up the crime, things began to unravel quickly. Investigators started to piece together the timeline of events, and the evidence against Jennifer mounted. Surveillance footage showed her acting suspiciously in the days after Matthew's disappearance. Her behavior was erratic, and her attempts to hide the truth were too obvious. But the real breakthrough came when Jennifer's parents, Thomas and Rosalie Gledhill, became involved. They weren't just bystanders. They actively participated in the cover-up. They helped Jennifer clean the crime scene, destroy evidence, and even assisted in hiding Matthew's body. The involvement of Jennifer's parents was a betrayal not just of Matthew, but of the family itself. Their actions made the case even more complex and tragic. The investigation continued, and it wasn't long before Jennifer was arrested. She was charged with first-degree murder, destruction of evidence, and tampering with witnesses. Her parents were also arrested for their involvement in the crime. In December 2025, Jennifer's trial began. The prosecution presented a strong case, showing that the murder was premeditated and that Jennifer had gone to great lengths to cover her tracks. Jennifer's defense team tried to argue that the crime was committed in a moment of passion, but the evidence didn't support that claim. The trial revealed the devastating effects of Jennifer's actions. Not only had she ended Matthew's life, but she had also torn her own family apart. Her parents, once her staunchest supporters, found themselves facing charges for aiding and abetting her crime. The jury deliberated for several days before returning a guilty verdict. Jennifer Gledhill was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Her parents, too, received lengthy sentences for their involvement in the cover-up. The Gledhill case is a tragic reminder of how secrets, betrayal, and unchecked emotions can lead to unimaginable consequences. It's a story of a family torn apart by lies, love gone wrong, and a crime that could have been prevented.